Hastreiter graduated from Midland University with a bachelor's degree in arts management with a focus in theater. Before that, he spent some time touring with a group called the Young Americans, where he received his associate's degree of arts in performing art with an acting emphasis. He is currently pursuing his master's degree at Midland in learning and talent development. Will, talk to us about marketing your story.
Hello. So yes, I am Will. And just a little bit more about me before we get into this is that I really do enjoy like the marketing aspect of things, and I am looking more into it, especially as I pursue a possible career within arts administration. And so I'm looking into that, and I think marketing is a huge part of that. And so the person that I spoke to a lot about this was Kyle Thomas, who is in another video that we can send out. But he was the associate director of the arts, or assistant director of the arts here, and did a lot of marketing for Midland. And so he inspired me to look into the marketing side of things. And so his video will be made available later on. So jumping right into it with marketing our story is we want to make sure that we are honing in and focusing on our target audience, so that we want to make sure that we are identifying the needs, desires, pain points, and values of what your target audience is and who you are trying to reach. So I kind of like to think of this as like what your strengths are and how they're going to react to what an employer needs from you, and pain points might be your weaknesses and how you can shift that into a strength. So you want to use these to directly speak to your audience and find ways to reach them. And so telling your story, you want to find what makes you unique and what makes you stand out and set apart. So with this comes like updating your resume, making personal statements, and just showing your likeness to different employers or possible other possible employers. But I like to think of that history section as what your resume will make up. And then throughout your resume, you can include things like your values, your mission, and your vision, all as like personal blanket statements. And I'll apologize because I think Sue and Bruce have both talked about some of these tactics, and you'll also hear a little bit with Kyle's video, but it's good to reiterate them, I think. So yes, I really like to think of what makes you unique. What is your selling point? Why are you worth what you put out, essentially? And so we're going to define our channels. Social media is a huge thing in today's employment world. And so with that, it can come to be professional. You can find ways to make like Instagram and Twitter professional. It's just as long as you define how you are going to use that branch of social media, as well as email, which is still a popular form of communication. Not necessarily so much with like today's youth. As a recruiter for college, I'm finding out that not many kids are checking their emails and they're going towards text messages a bunch. So that's been a huge challenge that I've had to overcome and figure out new ways to reach them. So specifically with letters, anything that is handwritten makes things seem a lot more personable and makes it seem like you really do care, especially when you reach out to these kids and you're finding out just what it is that makes them who they are, what they bring to the table and what we can bring to the table for them. So again, going into the marketing world and marketing yourself, how can you do that through a handwritten letter, which is going to make that more personable? And so I'm trying to learn that through different engagements of marketing. I'm actually the lead singer of a band. And so I'm able to put together a lot of like flyers and posters, and we actually have ways that make us stand out, like different fonts. And it's really just playing and having fun and just making your brand exactly what you want it to be. So that's the big thing, is what's going to make you stand out and how will people engage with your work. So for me personally, It's people coming out and listening to us play music. But as an actor or as a student employee, I am just reaching out as much as I can and finding ways to build what I do with other people. So these channel resources that we can use, a lot of the things that I like to use to design is Canva. That's how Chris made our flyer for this event. And so it's very, very, very easy to use. And then a blanket term of different editing apps, and Adobe, I know, is a big one. And then, like I said earlier, with the professional sources of social media, you can use LinkedIn, which Bruce covered excellently, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So my band has a Facebook page. We used to have a website. That costs a little too much. So we decided to scrap that and use our resources that are free. And so that's been an excellent thing for all of us to use. So yeah, this is another part where you just get to be creative and play around and essentially just do what you like. And as long as it stays consistent and with your brand, people are going to, I'm going to say this later, train the eye to see and to catch your brand. Might have jumped the gun on that one, but no. So with self-marketing and being self-marketable, this is something that I actually had the great opportunity to use in my undergraduate degree, was get Google Ads certified, which is completely free to enroll. And if you pay a little fee, you can get extra benefits, like those premium accounts, and get more unlocked achievements essentially. But digital marketing and e-commerce professional certificate is used as online tools to research customers, and e-commerce specialists grow online sales. And then you can go get your data analytics, which is just IT specialists troubleshooting computers and networks to make sure that those run correctly. Project management to make sure that all these projects are within an organization are managed well at maximum capacity. And UX design, which was interesting, is a digital and physical products, being able to make those more manageable and easier to use. And then this one was fun, HubSpot. Again, it's also free, and I was HubSpot certified in inbound marketing, which is a customer-centric approach that attracts and connects you with your ideal customers by solving their problems and creating valuable experiences. So if I were to relate that to this capstone that we're doing right now, or this event, Todd came to us with a proposition, and he trusted us to make a presentation and find different ways that we can market ourselves as student employees, I guess, rather, and just create this event for whoever may need it. Yeah. Storytelling techniques. So as an actor, I love being a storyteller. And so I like to think, like, in interviews, how am I going to market myself? How am I going to make myself more engaging? So with the whole forming an emotional connection thing, and we don't have to get on our knees and cry, but we can make connections with people by saying, like, oh, like, I have a dog, you have a dog, it's just those small little interactions and connections that make us who we are, and that are going to be, you want to work with people that you can talk to, that you can relate to. So that's a great thing that I like to work on. And then again, being personable is just that whole relation part of it. And then so metaphors, anecdotes, and even testimonials from past and present clients. So finding letters of recommendation to push you forward in the competitive field. Yeah, this next one's fun. So don't act your story, said the actor. But have y'all ever heard of the show Shark Tank? Yes. Okay. So fun show, great show. I just had to see if y'all were here. Okay. Yeah, I'll put y'all to the side. So really fun show. I enjoy just looking at, honestly, how silly some of these pitches can be, because they come in and they're very performative. and they want to sell you these products and they want to be the next big thing. But a lot of the time it's that, hey, Rico Suave type energy. And it's like, who are you at the core? Am I going to want to work with you for the next 10 years? A saying that one of my old mentors said was, am I going to want to go golfing with you for 18 holes? Can I spend 4 hours out on the golf course with you? And if that answer is yes, then you're in the driver's seat. But just this all goes back to being personable. And so my dad is currently trying to figure out his story right now. He was just spent 33 years with his company and he was recently laid off. And so he is trying to find his new story. He wants it to be completely different. That's why I said flipping 180 degrees. So it's been actually quite a really interesting time for me to have this presentation match up with his timeline. So that way I can not only learn what he's going through, but in a way, maybe find new ways to help him. And because he's actually come to me even before this, he's like, how do I find like a presence online? And I'm like, we'll get there, Dad. Just wait till after April 27th. So it's been really nice to see him continue to grow and look for something. So with this career focused event that we're having right now, it's great timing. And so with that, and like with personal branding and self-marketing, we want to be consistent. So you want to keep your brand consistent across all forms of media and social media. And so like I said earlier, you want to train the eye to catch your brand. So this reinforces your brand and builds brand recognition. So as we can see below, there are several different logos that I'm sure are very recognizable. And so I chose those because these are ones that are just very stuck within our brains. We have Google Drive, Golden Arches, good old Steve Jobs. Oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. Steve Jobs, and with Apple and Netflix, Toyota. And I could definitely tell you a story within my personal experiences of all 5 of these. So they've not only done a good job of sticking in our brains and sticking in our minds with their advertisements, but they're good at finding ways to make it personal to you. And so measuring results of your online presence is learning how to track audience interactions with your channel and using this data to refine your brand. So something that Chris and I will be doing at the end of this is sending out our Google form that we created to see what we could have done different, what we could have done better, the key takeaways that we had from this and then you had from this. And so essentially, like it says here, is decide what to measure. You're going to collect that data. You're going to analyze that data and then report the results and take action and then implement that into your next program that you're designing and utilize that as what will be your key performance indicators for the future. And so with that, we want to be authentic, just be yourself because people want to see you. And they want you to be honest. Honesty will build trust with your audience, with your future employers. And you want to avoid making exaggerated claims or over proposing, because when you start to over propose or step out of your bounds, yes, you may get the job, but can you keep the job? Because if you are over proposing all of these ideas and promising these things and you can't hold up to them, sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you, bite you in the butt, and you'll be out of a job. So authentic, be yourself. And so in conclusion, all of this presentation is subjective. It's whatever you want it to be. Whatever you want to market yourself as is great and is great enough. So you want to speak your truth, show who you are, and again, just be personable because you are in control of what you produce. And just like this Google form that we'll be submitting, it's going to be a great experience to reflect on what we've learned and what we can do going forward and what will propel us forward for our capstone or our classes that we'll be taking or the next steps in life that we will be taking. So with that, if there's any questions, happily take those or.
A very random question for you, but have you ever experimented with posting something that was off-brand to see what would happen? Have you ever seen that happen?
Yes, I've seen it happen. And I've kind of toyed with the idea of doing it with my band, because people are so used to seeing this. Actually, I'm wearing my band shirt underneath this, where it's a W for the band Wave. And so people are so used to seeing that. And if we were to change the font completely and be like, I could see that it would be a catch of the eye, to be a breath of fresh air. Yeah. Yeah.
Unrelated, but Brenda, that makes me think of the Fire Festival documentary, if you've ever seen that.
I've never seen it. Now I have to watch it because you're telling me.
So they, real quick, so they basically had social media influencers post an orange square because it's a stop. Like on people's timelines when you're scrolling, all of a sudden all orange is a stop. So that's how they got so much attention. It's really interesting. They don't talk a ton about it, but it uses that concept of kind of not necessarily, I guess, kind of against a brand's, like, you know, influencers, whatever's typical content, but even on anyone's feed, you see something just all one color, you're going to stop. So
Mhm.
an interesting dive if you're ever interested. Don't mean to distract.
Interesting perspective. I like it.
Yeah, that's great. Good food for thought and great information. Awesome. Thank you.